Okay, we're going to do a second and final example, and we will do the problem 302 minus 146. And this time I've removed the place value mats, because if you don't have place value mats or you did not have time to make your own, you can easily just have the students make their own place value mat on their paper, as I've done here below. Also, if you don't have the BaseTen blocks, or you just need a break from the BaseTen blocks, again, students can model the BaseTen blocks by just drawing figures to represent the flats, the rods, and the units. So we start with 302, which is modeled here by 3 squares, nothing in the tens place so far, and 2 little circles to represent the units. As before, if we start with the ones, we have an issue because we cannot take away 6 ones, because right now we only have 2 ones. In the last example, we traded a rod for 10 ones, but we can't do that this time because there are no rods there to trade. So we've got to move over to the next place value, which is hundreds. And so what I'm going to do there is I'm going to take one of these, I'm going to cross through it, and I'm going to draw an arrow showing that I'm not taking it away or borrowing, I'm just trading that flat for 10 rods. And notice as I'm drawing my rods, I am using long rectangles versus tally marks, because a tally mark has a representation of 1, and we want to remind the students that the rods represent 10. So I just exchanged 1 flat for 10 rods. And I'm going to record what I did right here on the problem. I'm going to change the 3 to a 2, because now I have 2 squares or 2 flats remaining, and now here I have 10 rods. So now we're back to the original case that we had. I want to take away 6 ones from 2 ones, which I cannot do, so I'm going to cross through one of the tens, draw an arrow, and I'm going to replace that with 10 ones. And I'm going to record that again up here by crossing through the 10, making that 9. I'm crossing through the 2, and now, as you can see there, I have 12 ones. And now there's the easy part. We're just going to begin taking away. We're going to take away 6 ones, and I'm going to cross through. I'm going to X this time to show I'm actually removing these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And students will get creative. They can cross out any 6 they want. It doesn't matter. How many do I have left there? 6 ones. I move to the tens, and I want to take away 4 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to just cross through that group of 4, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now notice I had already crossed through that one when I swapped it, so I just have 5 that are left. And finally, when I'm here to the hundredths place, I'm going to take away 1. That's the one I took away. That's the one that I traded. I only have 1 flat left that does not have a mark in it. And so there we have 302 minus 146. Okay, so in closing, I just want to leave you with a few tips and reminders to keep in mind when you are using BaseTen blocks in your classrooms to model addition and subtraction with regrouping. My first recommendation is that you keep the problem numbers, or the numbers in your problems relatively low. And by that I mean, if you are modeling 3-digit addition or subtraction, you might want to use numbers that are in the 500s or lower, because if they're modeling, then that means there's less of the actual pieces that they have to manipulate if you have less hundreds, for example. Once they get the concept down and they're able to regroup successfully, record their regrouping successfully, you can move away from the BaseTen blocks. That is, the ultimate goal is to go from the concrete to the abstract. And so in that progression and or regression, I would say, from using the manipulatives as a tool, it would make sense then to do problems that had higher values, such as 700s, 800s, and 900s. Also, make sure you're always planning ahead. Time savers like sorting your manipulatives in advance for your students or student groups. Plastic baggies work fine, as well as a plastic container such as this. It just saves you a lot of time when it comes time to distribute those to your students. And a really important recommendation here is to choose your problems strategically that you plan to model, as well as those problems that you plan to assign to your students for their own practice and exploration. For example, you may want to consider, do I want to model a problem where I'm only regrouping the tens place? Or do I want to model a problem where I'm regrouping only the hundreds? Or perhaps you want to model a problem where you're doing both. You're regrouping tens and hundreds. Also consider special cases regarding the placement of a zero. Do you want to model a problem where you have a zero, for example, like this in the tens place? Or maybe one where you have a zero in the ones and the tens place, which would, of course, require the students to subtract across the zeros in that problem. Also, if the students are paired with a partner or working with a small group, which I highly recommend, please make sure that they have assigned roles. Students love the manipulatives, especially the BaseTen blocks, and so you want to make sure that they all have an equal opportunity to model or manipulate with the BaseTen blocks. For example, if you have a group of 3 students, one student's job could be to model the addition or subtraction problem with the BaseTen blocks. Another person's role could be to record the moves that are made on the place value mat, as I showed earlier. And then a third student could have the role or task of recording the moves using a written model or representation of the addition or subtraction. And then, of course, you could alternate those roles by doing 3 or more examples so that each student got to assume each of those different roles. Also, you may, as an exit ticket task or activity, assign a problem such as this, which really from a conceptual standpoint allows you as the teacher to decide whether or not the student does have that conceptual understanding of what type of problems, or which type of problems rather, would require regrouping. My final recommendation is to plan for play. Students are going to want to play with the BaseTen blocks, so I would set aside a few minutes at the beginning for them to touch, hold, manipulate the blocks, build structures with them, whatever they want to do, because this is very normal behavior and students should not be penalized for it. I would also precede that by making sure that we establish a classroom set of rules or norms for the use of the BaseTen blocks as instructional tools in the classroom. And finally, I'd just like to mention that even in the short demonstration of these 2 sample problems using BaseTen blocks, we incorporated at least 5 of the mathematical practices. I could make a good case that making sense of problems was modeled, reasoning quantitatively, modeling with mathematics, using appropriate tools strategically, as well as attending to precision. So that's it for our demonstration this month, and we hope that you will reach out to us if you have any questions or ideas. We are here to support you, and we want to make this the best year for you ever in the Rankin County School District.